Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on the time you are accessing this video. If you are accessing this video on YouTube, this is a program which is taught on coolcharts.com. This is a solving of 2020 mathematics past question, and we've solved one already in our part 1 video, and this is our part 2, our second version of it. So part 1, we considered question 1 up to 21, the section A part. So if this is the first video you are accessing on the 2020 B.E.C.E mathematics past question, then please make reference to the part 1 video as well and continue with the part 2. Okay, but it doesn't matter. You can also watch this one, and you can also later search for it either on the coolchart.com site or on the YouTube channel, and as well watch it as well. Okay, so if you're on coolchart.com, you can see the past questions under JHS, then B.E.C.E past questions. So B.E.C.E past question. Then as time goes on, we've been uploading more past questions to the site, but currently I'm going to explain the solution to the mathematics 2020. So this is the one I'm going to explain. There are already explanations, but I'm going to use a video in case to add additional explanations, in case those who might also be interested in the video. Okay, in order for, we've done from 1 to 20 already, so I'm going to skip that part. But in order for you to see it very clearer, I'm going to zoom it so that the text can be very bold. Okay, so remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel also, and also remember to invite your friends so that they can also enjoy this wonderful provision by coolchart.com. So you subscribe, you visit the site, you see new past questions, you solve, and make sure you solve them before you compare your answers to ours. If you are wrong, you can check the solution. Sometimes if you are correct, you can as well check the solution, because we add additional notes to the question. So even though you solve, if you check our solution too, you may learn something new you don't know. For example, the question may be asked in a different way. So reading the solution with our explanation and having additional knowledge, you will be able to at least get more knowledge that fully prepare you for your examination. So even if you solve it and you got it correct, you can quickly glance through our solution and see what additional points you can learn from. Okay, so our main objective is for you to come out with flying colors to make the B.E.C.E examination very simple for you, so that you not fear it, but you just boldly go and write, and after the exam you not even be worried because you know what to write. Okay, so that's our main objective. So let's quickly move to question 21. If you haven't checked our previous video which solved question 1 to 21, please make reference to it. But I'm going to start from question 22 to question 40. Okay, so we've done up to 21, so I'm going to start from question 22 to question 40. Okay, so what we have, question 22 says two sides of a parallelogram are 5.8 meters and 8.2 meters long. Find its parameter. Okay, so parameter is the length of the shape you have. So if it's a rectangle, whether it is a triangle or whatever it is, the total length you have in that shape is what we call the parameter. Sometimes, instead of them saying circumference of a circle, they may say perimeter of a circle, which talks about the length, the entire length of the shape you have. So we have a parallelogram which have 5.8 and 8.2 meters long. And the rule of parallelogram is that it has two sides equal, just like a rectangle. Okay, so it means that there are two of these, because this and the other side will be equal. Then there is also 2 of this, because this and the other side will be equal. So all you need to do is to sum all the 4 sides of the parallelogram. So since this will be 2, you just can multiply it by 2, and since this will also be 2, you can multiply it by 2. Okay, so let's see the general formula for a parallelogram parameters. So as you can see, this and this are parallel, and they are of the same size. This and this are of the same size. Okay, so we have A and C is equal and B and D are equal. So to get the parameter is just twice of this. So this and this times, so this times 2 will cover this and that, and this times 2 will cover this and that. Okay, so you have 2A plus 2B. So if you are applying it in our question, you just have to multiply this one by 2, then we add plus this one by 2. Okay, so we have 2 times 5.8 plus 2 times 8.2. Now if you multiply 5.8 by 2, you get 11.6. Now if you multiply 8.2 by 2, you get 16.4. And if you sum the 2, you get 28.0. Remember the unit is in meters, so 28.0 meters, just as it is over here. Okay, so that's it. So remember, perimeter is just the total length of your shape. If it's the perimeter of a rectangle, so you have the rectangle, its length, and this is the rectangle to have 2 sides equal. So a rectangle has 2 of the sides equal. What the size, the height will be the same as the other height, and width will also be the same. Okay, so parameter will also have the same formula as the parallelogram. And the square has all the 4 sides equal. So to find the perimeter of a square, it's just adding each of the sides, which are all the 4. So you'll be giving only one side, since the rest are of the same size. So you just multiply it by 4, or that side plus that side plus that side plus that side. This is 4 times will give you the total perimeter of the square. Okay, so we are done with question 22. So let's move on to question 23. It says a man earned an interest of 240 Ghana cedis in 4 years at 20% per annum simple interest. Calculate the principal. Okay, so this one you need to know the formula for calculating an interest. So an interest is calculated as principal times time times rate all over 100. Okay, so we have interest is equal to principal times time times rate all over 100. So if you are writing it in letters, I is equal to P times T times R all over 100. Okay, so in the question, what information do we have? We have the interest to be 240, okay, which is here. Then it says in 4 years, and you know it is per annum, so year, so the time is 4, and the rate is 8. It says rate is 20, okay, 20%. So the rate is 20%. So our rate is 20. Okay, so now we can substitute our value in our general formula. We said interest, so our interest value is here. We are looking for principal, so we can just call it principal. The time is 4 years, so 4. Our rate is 20 all over 100. Okay, so now we can simplify. Now to get rid of this 100 dividing, like I always say, you just find the LCM of each part of your equation. Now 240 is the same as 240 over 1. Then this one, everything is divided by 100. So the denominators are 1 and 100. So the LCM for 1 and 100 automatically is going to be 100, since 1 will go to 100 and 100 will go into itself. So you use 100 to multiply both sides of the equation. So we have 100 times this one. Then when you multiply this one there, you cancel the 100. So this one becomes what we have over here. Okay, so you are going to get 240 times 100 is equal to now 40 times 20 is 80. Okay, now now we only want this part, and this is multiplying, so we can divide both sides so that we cancel the 80. So we divide both sides by 80. that the principal will be alone. So now we need to simplify this. We can cancel the 0. So this 0 cancels 0. Now 8 can go into 24. So 8 goes here 1, goes into 24, I think 3 times. So you get 30 times 10 or so, okay, which gives you 300. Okay, remember, if you are multiplied by 100, if you are multiplied by 0, whether 10, 100, 1000, is just adding number of zeros to your the one you are multiplying with. So 30 times 10 is just adding 1 0 to the 30, which makes it 300. So 3 times 1000, just adding 3 zeros to the 3, which makes it 3000. Now that, so that's the thing. Some concept you should know when you are solving especially B.E.C.E question that you don't use calculators, and the time you also have limited time, so you should be able to have some skills of doing some calculations that are very simple way. And when we are solving as a question, please don't simplify your answers yet, so that you could know which ones you can cancel, so that the multiplication becomes easy for you. If you multiply and later you are dividing, then your figure becomes huge, so simplification becomes difficult for you. So as you can see in my solution, I didn't multiply 240 by 100. Okay, so I just came to divide, then the simplification can be easy. So you know that 80 can go into 240 what 3 times, so you get 3 times 100, which gives you 300. So however you want to do it, but if you leave it that way, translation makes it will be very easy for you. Make translation very easy for you. Okay, so that's 23. We move on to 24. A laborer worked for 20 and half hours. If he was paid 2.5 per hour, what was his total wage? Okay, so per hour means every hour is given this amount. Okay, so if you want to get this total amount, you just multiply this per hour by the number of hours he worked. But remember, 20 and half is 1 over 2, which gives you 0.5. So this will be 20.5. Okay, so this will be 20.5 hours. So you multiply 20.5 by 2.5. So when you do the multiplication, what will you get? Okay, so we have 20.5 times 2.5. So we are going to get 51.25. Now, if in our week, the first part of our video, we also saw how you can easily do some of these calculations which are in decimals. You can move this 5 and make it an whole number. If you move it to the left, it becomes negative. So you get 205 times 10 exponent negative 1, and times this one, you move it. So you get 25 times 10 is negative 1. So you get 205 times 25. Then you multiply them. And a negative 1 in indices, since they are 10 exponent negative 1, 10 exponent negative 1, become 10 exponent negative 2. So after simplifying this one, then you change that decimal by moving, since it's negative, to the power. If it's 10 to the power negative 2, you just move it 1, 2, then that's where the decimal is going to be. So you realize that you get 5125 times 10 exponent negative 2. So you just move 1, 2, then it comes over here. So based on if the decimals are going to give you challenge, change it to the form where you have a times 10 exponent b in that format, where a is a whole number. You change to a whole number. So based on how many times you move the decimal space to get the whole number, you raise it to the power of 10. So if it moves to the left, it's going to be negative. It moves to a. If it moves to the left, it's going to be positive. If it moves to the right, it's going to be negative. In that order. Okay. By the multiplication of this is this value. Okay. So which one is this one? Okay. So we move on to question number 25. 25 says, if 480 pupils in the school are boys, representing 80% of the school's enrollment. Find the total number of pupils in the school. Find the total number of people in the school. If 480 pupils in the school are boys, representing 80% of the school's enrollment, find the total number of pupils in the school. Okay, so to get a value out of a fraction, out of a percentage, is just the percentage over times the total number. Okay, here the total number we are looking for is total number of pupils. So to get, and this 80% is for boys in the school. Okay, so to get the number of boys in the school is going to be 80 over 100 times the total number of pupils in the school. So you can also do it like, we don't know the total number of people in the school. So we have 80 over 100 times x, which should give you this 480 that you are informed. So then you can solve for the value of x. Okay, or you can use a ratio. 80 is equal to this, so 100% will also be equal to what? So each of them you should derive at the same answer. So let's see how this was solved. So percentage is equal to value times total times 100. Okay, so the value here is the number of boys. Okay, so we know the number of boys. So let us call total number of people in the school. Okay, so here the percentage is 80, which is equal to this over this times 100. Okay, so now it's make as the subject, so you get 600 people. Okay, so that's how it was solved. So here, since we say percentage is the number over the total number times 100, gives us a percentage. Okay, we know the percentage to be 80. We know the number of boys should be 480. We are looking for the total amount, so times 100. Okay, then you make as the subject. So here 100 will multiply. No, the s is dividing. So you will bring the s over here. So you get 80 times x is equal to 480 times 100. Then you want x, so the 80 will go and divide. So you get 480 times 100 over 80. Then 80 will go into 486 times. Or if you like, you can cancel this, will cancel this. Then 8 will go into year 1, will go into year 6 times. Then you can get your result. Okay. So anyhow you want to solve it, also the same. So you can also have 80% is equal to 480. So 100 will give you what? Then you can also use it to simplify as well, because the 100% represents the total number of people in the school. So any approach will give you the same answer. Okay. So here the concept of how to calculate a percentage is used. So to calculate the percentage, the number over the total times 100. Here we know the percentage to be 80. We know the number of boys. We don't know the total, so we represent it by x. So we multiply by 100. Then we make s the subject. Then once you get the value of x, then that's the total number of people in the school. Okay, so that's question number 25. So we move on to question number 26. Okay, so the rule for a mapping. So for a mapping, there is no concrete formula for getting a rule for the mapping. Okay, so all that you need to do is to substitute the s value from to get with the possible mapping rules that has been given, to see which of them or the value of the y, you got the corresponding value of y. Remember, not just solving for one, then if it's okay, then that will be the answer. No, sometimes one may be correct at some point but may not be correct at the other point. So you have to try for all each of the value of x and check if you get the corresponding value of y. So here, if you are checking the option for A, okay, and here our x is 1, so you put when x is equal to 1 in this equation. So you have 3 into bracket s to the 1 to the power 2 is 1. So you get 3 times 1 minus 1, which gives you 2. Okay, so here this is correct. Then we'll move on to here. When our s is 2, we have 3 into bracket 2 to the power 2 minus 1. 2 to the power 2 is 2 times 2, which gives you 4. So 4 times 3 is 12 minus 1, which gives you 10. And here is not 10. So this they do not match the rule, so you skip it. Okay. Then you come to, so like I said, you see that it worked over here, but it didn't work for the other one. So if it didn't work, then you just move on. So here it says 5x squared minus 3. So when our x is 1, we have 5, 1 to the power 2 is 1. So 5 times 1 is 5 minus 3, that gives you 2. So it is correct here. Let's check here. So when our x is 2, we have 5 x to the power 2, so that will be 2 to the power 2, that gives us 4. 4 times 5 gives us 20, minus 3, that gives us 17. This is supposed to give us a 5, so this didn't work. Okay, so let's move on to C. So C, when our value of our x is 1, so 1 square is 1 plus 1 gives us 2. Okay, 2 square will give us 4 plus 1 gives us 5. 3 square will give us 9 plus 1 gives us 10. 4 square will give us 16 plus 1 gives us 17. So automatically this will be the result since all the corresponding value of y match. Okay. Now for curiosity's sake, if you have enough time, you can as well check if this one will match or not. So if you are checking for this one, since this match for all of them, then you can take the answer that is the correct answer. But for curiosity's sake, let's check for this. So here, when our x is 1, we have 4 times 1, which is 4 minus 2, 2. So you see that it works over here. Now, when our x is 1, we get 4 times 1, which is 4 minus 2, which is supposed to give us 2, but here it's 5, so it didn't work. So automatically we are 100% sure that this is the rule that we can use to get the corresponding value of our y. Okay, so that's for mapping. So sometimes if it comes in section B, then you have to analyze how it goes. Okay, then you can try to see the rule or the equation that when you write, it can match to get the corresponding value of y. But if it comes in section A, you try each of the rules by substituting the value of x into 8. So if you take the 1x, you substitute it into 8, then you check whether it matches the value of your y that you got. So the rule that if you are able to get all the values of y is the one that you choose as the answer. Okay, so we move on to question number 27. So question number 27 says find the value of t in the diagram. So this is Pythagoras theorem. So how do we know it's a Pythagoras theorem? Whenever you are given a triangle with this sign, it means this side is 100 degrees. So when you get 100 degrees at one part, then it's you have to remember the concept of Pythagoras. Now the hypotenuse, which is the C, is the side facing your 90 degrees, which is also the longest side in the diagram. So here, since this is facing, the 13 is facing this 90 degrees, then we automatically know that this is our hypotenuse. So what does Pythagoras say? Pythagoras says that if you square this one, C, or your hypotenuse, is equal to, when you square this one and you square this one, the sum of them. Okay, so it means that this side square plus this side square should give you your hypotenuse, which is the longest side, or the side facing the 90 degree square. Okay, so using Pythagoras theorem, it means 13 square is equal to t square plus 5 square. Then you can simplify the value of t. Okay, so now let's check. So like I said, a square plus b square should give you c square, and c should be a place fixing your 90 degrees. Okay, so now to get your c, you just take the square root of the summation of this and that. Okay, so in the question, we have 5 square plus t square is equal to 13 square, and 13 square is this, 5 square is 25. You won't see, so 3 will stand alone. This one is positive. When it comes, it's going to be negative. We have t square is equal to 144. So we have to take the square root of both sides. Okay, so like I explained in the first video, the square root of a number is just the result of a square root of a number is just the number when you multiply by it twice, you are going to by itself. When the number multiplied by itself, you are going to get the one you are looking for, the square root. Okay, now 12 times 12 gives us 144. So the square root of 144 is 12. Okay, so the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 16 is 4. The square root of 25 is 5, and so on. Okay, so if you find it difficult and there's enough time, just multiply the numbers by themselves. For 1, the square root of 1 is 1. Or the square root of any 1 is always 1. For 1 times 1 is 1 anyway, but you start from 2. So 2 times 2, which is 4. So you know that the square root of 4 is what? 2. Then you move to 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So you know that the square root of 9 is what? 3. Then you move to 4. 4 times 4 is what? 16. So you know that the square root of 16 is what? 4. Then you move to 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So you know that the square root of 25 is what? 5. And so on. Okay. So that's basically that. Then we move on. So the answer is 12. So this one. Okay, so that would be it. So we move on to question number 28. It says, add the following numbers: 2.4, 0.042, 1.12, and 0.342. Okay, so like I've explained in this part and also the previous part, when you are given these decimals, express them in the whole number times 10 exponents, the digit, so that you can get whole numbers. Then you simplify. Now once you are done, then you can add the numbers. Okay, that's also one option. Another option is that if you are using the normal way of adding, make sure they have the same figures. Okay, the maximum figure is we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one is in 4 figures. So you make sure they are all in the same number of digits. So this is in 4 digits. This one is in 3 digits. So you add another 0 at the end. So if you add 0 at the lead and trailing zeros, it doesn't make any difference. Okay. So here you can make it 1.120. Okay, here it's already 4. Then here 2 is 2, so you can add how many zeros? 2 zeros to it, so you can add 2.400. Then you can do addition. So if you are using a normal addition, now make sure that they are of the same number of digits, so that the addition will be easier. Other than that, too, you can express them in whole number. Then you simplify them. Then later on you multiply by the standard with 10 exponents, whatever negative it is. But let's use this solution uses changing them to the same number of digits. So here we put all of them to be in 4 digits. Like I said, the trailing zeros doesn't make any difference. Okay, so we have 2.4 is the same as 2.400. So we just add 00 here. Okay, get to adding this trailing 0, the last 0 doesn't make any difference. So this is the same. So now you can see that we have here, we have here, we have there, we have there. So you can simplify. Now 0 plus 2 is 2, plus 0 is 2, plus 2 is 4. We have 4 here. And 0 plus 4 is 4, plus 2 is 6, plus 4 is 10. So you write 0, then you are left with 1. So that 1 comes here. So that 1 we add to this, we get 4. Then we add to this one, we add to this, we get 5. We add to this one, we get 6. We add to 3, we get 9. Then we have 2 plus 1, which is 3. And the decimal is where it is. Okay, so that's the decimal where it is. So whenever you are given a lesson, make sure that they are the same number of digits. You can add a trailing 0. The last 0 is based on how many is left to get the same number of digits there. Okay, so the answer is 3.904. Okay, so we move on. Question 29 says solve x a 4 to the power x is equal to 32. Now, when you are solving this kind of question, something to the power of something, make sure that they are the same base. Okay, so the same base, we have 4 to the power x, but the point is that you cannot express 32 in the base 4. So you have to ask yourself which base can go into 4, which number can go into 4 at the same time 32 that I can express them in terms of number basis. Okay, like some base times exponent something. Now you realize that 2 can go into 4, 2 can go into 32. So when you are expressing 2 times 2 is 4. So 2 exponent 2 will give you 4. Now 2 also, you can multiply 2 in a number of times. You'll be able to get 32. So like how it was explained here. Okay, 2 times 2. We give you S4. Every number has a power 1, but we don't write it. So there's 1 here, we don't write. There's 1 here, we don't write. And from the law of indices, which is quoted over here, it says that when the bases are the same, you just add the powers. So we have the base here, we just add B plus C. So in a similar way, 4 is the same as 2 times 2. This 2 has power 1, it has power 1, but it's not written. So when it's multiplying, you just add the powers. So you just have 2, 1 plus 1, which gives you 2 to the power 2. And 32, 2 is the same as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 gives you 4. 4 times 2 gives you 8. 8 times 2 gives you 16. 16 times 2 gives you 32. Then all of them have to the power 111. Okay, so from the law of indices, you can add the powers. So you have 2 to the power 1, you add this one, you add this one, you get 2 to the power 5. So you replace 32 by 2 to the power 5, and you place 4 by 2 to the power 2. Okay, and the same law of indices, which has been quoted here, that the power, when there's a bracket, the power outside can multiply the power inside. Okay, so if there are more, it will multiply all of them. Okay, but here in this example, you have only 1. So you have a to the power n times the m. So the powers will multiply what is at the bracket. So we have a to the power n times m. Okay. So in a similar way, this s is outside. So it will multiply the power they have over here. So you get 2 to the power 2x is equal to 2 to the power 5. Now, anytime the bases are the same and we said they are equal, then the powers should also be the same. So since we have base 2, we have base 2, and we say they are equal, then it means that this power must be equal to this. So 2x should be equal to 5. You solve for the value of 5. So we have x is equal to, so you solve for the value of x. So x will be equal to 5 over 2. 5/2, 2 goes into 5 2 times, that 1. So you have 5, 2 whole number 1/2. Okay, so which is 2 whole number 1/2. So the answer is A. Then we move on to question number 3. Question number 3, I said 3, 30. Sorry. So question number 30 says, find the equation of the straight line passing through the points -3, 5, and 6, and 8. Okay, so how do we find the equation of a straight line? How do we find the equation of a straight line? So there is a formula that says that the equation of a straight line, we have y is equal to mx plus c. Okay, so where our m is our gradient. Okay, so then we can use the given point to solve for our value of c. And gradient is the change in the y over the change in x. So we have y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Okay. So first, you should also know your x and y coordinates. So the first one is for x and the second one is for y. So here our x is -3. Now y is 5. And here our x is 6. Now y is 8. Okay. So if you are using this formula, y2 minus y1, this is our y2, this is our y1. So you can have 8 minus our y1, which is 5, divided by our s2, which is 6 minus 3. Remember, minus this one is also negative, so minus 3. Then negative will give you positive. So this becomes 8 minus 5 gives you 3. Now because of negative, you get 6 plus 3, which gives you 9. So 3 over 9 gives you 3 goes here, 1 goes here, 3. So you get 1 over 3. And this is our gradient, which is our m value. So we now have our m value. Now you have to calculate for our c value. Okay. So now you use any of the points. To calculate your c. Now since you can use the point, since you know y, you know x, now you know our m. So you can use any of the points to calculate for our c value. So when using the point -3 and 5, the points which we were given, -3 and 5, we are using this one. Then our y, we said, is this one. So our y, which is this one, is equal to our gradient. Our gradient, we got 1 over 3 times our x here is -3 plus our c. Okay, now 3, this 3 divided will cancel this. So 3 goes here, 1 goes here, -1. So again, 1 times -1 is -1 plus our c. Now we want c to stand alone, so the 1 goes there. So get 5 plus 1 is equal to c. So you see our c is 6. So irrespective of the point you use to calculate for the c, you are supposed to get the same value. So if you decide to use 6 and 8, now your y is 8 and your s is 6. So you have 8 is equal to 1 over 3 times our x value, which is 6 plus our c. 3 goes here, 1 goes here, 2. So you get 2 times 1, which is 2. And we have 8 here. We want c to stand alone. So we move these 2 here. We have 8 minus 2 is equal to c. So our c is going to be 6. And since you know your value of c, then you can, the general expression become y is equal to 1 over 3x plus 6. So that is 1 over 3x plus 6. That is B. Okay. Then we move on to question number 31. So there are 15 females in the debating club. If the ratio of females to males is 3:2, how many members are in the club? How many members are in the club? So to get the value
just like we did for the fraction. So to get the value from ratio,
so the ratio over the sum of ratio times the total will give you the particular ratio value you want to calculate. Okay, so here we don't know how many members are in the club, but it says the ratio of females to males. So the ratio of for female is 3. Okay, so in that case, if we let's say x is equal to the total number of people in the club, so our 3 over the sum of our ratio, which will be 3 plus 2. So 3 over 5 times our total number of people in the club should give us 15, which is the 15 females. Okay, so if you have 3 over 5 times s is equal to 15, then you can solve for the value of s to get the total number of people in the club. Okay, so like I said, a value from a ratio is just a ratio over the sum of the ratio times the total of what give the ratio. Okay, so here we were given the number, which is the value, which is the females. So we use the ratio of female, which is 3 over the sum of the ratio, which is 3 plus 2 is 5. So 3 over 5 times the total. The total is what we are looking for, how many members are in the club, should give us 15. Then we calculate for our value of x. Okay. Okay. So here, okay. So in this one, we also use the same concept, but it's used a different approach. So either you do it that way, or you use this approach too. So this approach, number of A over number of B is equal to ratio of A to ratio of B. So remember, the ratio, the number should be correspond to each ratio. If you miss them, then you will not get the answer correct. So the number of females is to number of males should give us the ratio we were given. Okay, so here we know the number of females, which is 15. So we have 15 over number of males equal to this ratio. In this way of solution, it wants to calculate the number of males, then it will add the 2, then to be able to get the total number of the people in the club. So here we have the number of female to a number of males should give us this ratio we were given. Okay, so now you can express them in fractions. So you have 15 over number of males is equal to 3 over 2. Then you cross multiply. So the top will multiply the down. Okay, and the top over here will multiply the down over here. So you end up getting number of males times 3 is equal to 15 times 2. So number of males is equal to, so you have 15 times 2. This is multiplying, so it will come and divide. Okay, and 3 goes into 15 5 times. So you get 5 over here. So 5 times 2, that gives you 10. So number of males is equal to 10. So in that case, then you can add, since we've gotten the number of males, the total number of people in the club will be number of females as number of males. So that gives us 15 plus 10, which is the same as 25. Okay, so that's it. If you want to use the solving for x1, then you can as well use it. So for example, if I say let x is equal to the total number of people in the club, so we will have the ratio for females is 3. So you have 3, then over, then the ratio of the sum of the ratio. You have the ratio of the female plus the ratio of the male. Okay. Now the ratio over the sum of the ratio times the total. So here let's x is equal to our total. Okay. Now this should give us our number of females, but here we're given that our number of females is 15. Okay, so the ratio over the sum of the ratio times the total should give you the number of what ratio is at the top. Okay, so now we can solve for x. So we have 3 over 5 times x is equal to 15. Okay, so now we can multiply both sides by 5. So you get 3x. Okay, so 3x is equal to 15 times 5. Okay, now like I explained, don't simplify. Let this one come and divide, then you can do the simplification. So you have s is equal to, this is multiplying s, so it has to come and divide. So you have 15 times 5 over 3. Okay, now 3 goes into itself 1, and 3 can go into 15 5 times. So our x is going to be 5 times 5, which gives us 25. Okay, so the total number of people in the club is going to be 25. So the same as the approach that was used to solve the other one. Okay, so that's basically that. So both approaches should work. So if you want to get the value for a particular ratio, is the ratio over the sum of the ratio times the total. Okay, so that gives you the value. So let's continue. It says if our P, the image of from which is the point 4, negative 5 is the image of P, S and Y translated by R, which is the vector negative 2 and 3. Find the values of X and Y. Okay, so there's a general formula for translation. So it says if the vector is translate point, then the image is going to be x plus the top vector, the s. You add x and the top vector to your s value, and you have your b to your y value. Okay, so here we are giving our image, so it means that these values should be equal to our image. Okay, but we don't know our x and y. That's what we were asked to calculate, the points that give that image. So we know our image, so 4, negative 5, and their points, the vector is negative 2 and 3. So we have x plus our a is negative 2 in this vector, and our b is plus 3. So here the x coordinate will be equal to the x coordinate, and y coordinate will be equal to the y coordinate. So we end up getting 4 is equal to x plus negative 2, which is the same as x minus 2. Then this one goes, so our s is going to be 6. Okay, and that of this one, negative 5 is equal to y plus 3. This one goes, so it's positive, it becomes negative. So we get negative 5 minus 3, which gives you negative 8. Okay, so our x value is when we calculate we got 6, and our y value when we calculate we got negative 8. Okay, so there is it. So if you have a vector, this is a general rule. If you have a vector, to get the image, it's just your x point that you want to translate, then you add the top one to it, and the y point will be the y point that you want to translate, then you add the down vector to it. Okay, so we move on to question number 33. So it says if 2y is equal to 1 minus 3x squared plus 4x. Find y when our x is equal to negative 1. So in this case, we are given the value of x. So we just put in the value of x and solve for the value of y. So here, this side, our x is squared. So negative 1 squared is negative 1 times negative 1. Negative cancel negative. So that one is 1. So we have 1 minus 3 times 1 plus, now we have our x is negative. So 4 times negative 1. So here 4 times negative 1 is going to be negative 4. So, and here is going to give us negative 3 because here is going to be 1. Negative 1 square is 1. This is the negative 1 times negative 1. We end up getting 2y is equal to 1 minus 3 minus 4. That gives us 1 minus 7, which gives us negative 6. Then divide both sides by 2. So that gives us negative 3. We'll get negative 6 divided by 2. So that gives us negative 3. Okay, so as you can see, that's it. So remember, if you square a negative, get positive. So negative 1 squared is negative 1 times negative 1, which gives us positive 1. So that positive, when you square it, will still be 1. When you, that 1 over here, when you multiply by negative 3, you get negative 3. Okay, so that's what we have over there. Simplify, we got that answer. Now we move on to question number 34. It says, given that B is equal to this, what is the probability of selecting a prime number from the set? Now, what is a prime number? So a prime number is a number that has only two factors, 1 and itself, which means that that number cannot be divisible by any other number except 1 and itself. Okay, so let's see which of these numbers could be prime. So remember, 1 is not a prime number. So we start from now, start from greater than 1. Okay, so 2 is a prime number because there's no other number that can go into it except 1 in itself. 3 is also a prime number, and 5 is also a prime number. 7 is also a prime number. Then 11 is also a prime number. So you count how many of the prime numbers you have. Probability is the number of possible options over the total numbers you have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So after getting the possible one, you divide it by 12. And the division, the down is the total items you have. And the top will be the possible one, the number of possible ways you can get. So let's list all the prime numbers. So the prime numbers is 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. So you count how many possible ways. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so our top one will be 5, and total numbers we have is 12. So we have 5 over 12 to be our. Okay, this is just an example. Okay, this is just an example. So probability of selecting an even. Okay, yes. So that's the question. This is just even number. So when selecting an even, this extra note if you are selecting an even number from the list. Okay, so in case maybe in your subsequent examination they twist the question and they ask you rather to select an even number. So here you have to list all, if that's the case, you have to list all the even numbers. Then we have 1, 2, 3, we have 12. So the number of even numbers you have over 12 will be the probability. So in this example, even numbers were listed here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have 6 over 12. Then odd numbers. Okay, so you should know what an even number is. The number which is divisible by 2 is an even number. An odd number. And odd numbers are whole numbers that cannot be divided exactly into pairs, which means you cannot divide 2. You cannot, if you divide it by 2, you always get a remainder. So those are odd numbers. So the odd numbers in the list will be 1, 3, 5, 6. We count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one is also 6. So the probability will be 6 over the total item, which is 12. Then you can simplify to get the probability. Okay. So this and this is just additional note. But the answer for this one is the prime numbers we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will be 5 over the total numbers we have, which is 12. That will be the probability. Now solve 3 minus 3x plus 4 less than or equal to negative 4. Okay, so here, remember, if there is a negative, there is a 1 here that we don't write outside the bracket. So when you are using a distributive property, which says that what is outside should multiply everything which is inside. So here, if it's negative 1, to express it, we have negative 1 times 3x and negative 1 times 4. So plus negative 1 times 4. Okay, so when you are simplifying, get 3 minus 3x minus 4 less than or equal to negative 4. Then you can further simplify. Okay, so I've explained this already. So when the simplification got this. Okay, so now we want to make x a subject. So we can have s over here and take the rest over there. So however you want it. Now 3 minus 4 is negative 1. Then you have our negative 3s here. It's less than or equal to negative 4. Okay. Now if we decide to move our 3x over here, here is negative, so it's going to be positive. And the negative here 4 is negative. When it comes, it's going to be positive. So you get negative 1 plus. When it goes there, it's going to be positive 4. And this negative 3x, when it comes there, it's going to be positive 3x. So we end up getting 3 is less than or equal to 3x, and divide both sides by 3. So 3 goes here, 1 goes here, 1. And this will cancel this. So we get 1 is less than or equal to x. Now if you want to switch the order, then you should remember now you need to also change the sign. If this s comes in, because this means that 1 is less than x. Okay, so if you switch the order, you also have to you are reversing it. So if it's not less than, when the s comes here, then it's going to be greater than. So if you bring the s here, you just have to switch the order. So you can have x is greater than or equal to 1. Okay. Because if 1 is less than or equal to x, means x is greater than or equal to 1. So if you bring it that way, then you need to reverse the inequality sign. Okay, so that's it. So we move on to question number 36. Two sides of a rectangle are this. Calculate the area of a square with the same parameter as that of the rectangle. Okay, so this I've explained it in our first video. They have the same parameter. So if they have the same parameter as that of the rectangle, so you have to calculate the parameter of the rectangle here. Rectangle have two of the sides equal. So it means that to get the parameter of the rectangle is going to be 2 times 20 plus 6 times 2. Parameter is just adding all the length. And since the rectangle has two of the sides equal, there will be another 10 centimeter size. There will be another 6 centimeter size. So it's going to be 10 plus another 10, which is going to be 20 plus 6 plus another, which is going to be 20 plus 12. That will give you 32, or you just multiply them. You get 2 times 10 is 20, then 2 times 6 is 12, so you get 32. So the parameter of the rectangle is 32, and we are told that it has the same parameter as the distance. So the parameter of a square has all the 4 sizes equal. So it means that when you add each of the sides of the square, which is you are supposed to get the 32 of the parameter of the rectangle. So since the square have the same size like L, so square has all the four sides equal. Okay, so square, so our L here should be the same as our L here, the same as our L here, should be the same as our L here. Okay, now parameter is just adding this length to this length to this length to this length. So our L plus our L plus our L plus our L, okay, is our parameter. And since square has all the length equal, we have 4L. Okay. Now in the question, the parameter of the rectangle is the same as the parameter of the square. So which means that our 4L, now before you be able to calculate the area of the square, we need to get the length. So our 4L, which is the 4 times the length, should give us, since the parameters are the same, the same parameter as our rectangle, which is 32. Okay, so now we can simplify for our L. So we divide both sides by 4. If we divide both sides by 4, the 4 will cancel here, so you get 32 over 4. Now 32 over 4 gives us what? Yeah, what if you are doing your multiplication, you realize that it's supposed to give us 8 if I'm correct. It gives us 8 because now it gives us 36 and 10 will give us 40. So it's 8. So our length of the square is what? 8. Now the area of a square is length times breadth, but square has the same size, so it's going to length times length, which is length square. So since we have the length to be 8, the area is just going to be 8 times 8, which gives us 64. So the area of the square is supposed to be 64 centimeters square. Okay, so let's see. So like I've explained, 4L is the length, the parameter of the rectangle. So this is the parameter of the square. So we calculate for the length. Now once you've calculated for the length, area of a square is length times breadth. But it's say the same size. Breadth is the same as length. So length times length, which is L squared. So since we know the length, we just multiply. So we have length times length. So 8 times 8, which gives us the square of the area of our square. Okay. So we move on to question number 37. So it says make the n the subject of the relation y is equal to n minus s all over x. Okay, so like I always say, if there is a fraction, get rid of the fraction by finding the LCM of the distance. Now y the same as y over 1. Then you have x. 1 can go into x and x can go into itself. So you multiply both sides by the LCM, which is the x. Okay, so that we can get rid of this one. Then later we can simplify. So let's use a solution instead of this thing. So here it's multiplied by the x. So when it's multiplied by the x, this x goes away by. So we get y times x is equal to n minus x. Okay, so you have y times x is equal to n minus x. Now we have to solve for make which one the subject and the subject. So you want this one, we are interested in this one. So this one has to go. So it's negative over here. So if it crosses there, it's going to be positive. So we have yx plus x is equal to n. Now you can factorize x out because x is common over here, it's common over here. So when you factorize x out, you remove this part. So you left with y. So you have y here. Now x used to be here, you've taken it out. So you need 1 over there. So that 1 times the x will give you the x which was here. So 1 will be here. Now you can change the order, it doesn't matter, but our n is equal to x into bracket y plus 1. So x into bracket y plus 1. So that's our answer is A. Then we move on to question number 38. Question number 38 is expand and simplify. Okay, so when you are expanding, you take 1, you use to multiply the second bracket. So here you take A, you use to multiply the entire bracket, then you take negative 2, then you use to multiply the entire bracket. Then when you are done, you simplify. Okay, so let's follow. And doing the multiplication, like I said, you take this one, you use to multiply the entire one. So here in this example, A will multiply this one. And when it is done, B will also multiply. So B will multiply this one. Okay. Now, in the multiplication of this one to this will multiply everything inside. So in the distributive property, so this will multiply this and plus, and this will multiply this. Okay. So let's use that concept. So our A minus 2 into bracket and then bracket 2A plus 3 will give us. First, let's take A to multiply this. We have A times this. Then we take negative 2 to multiply this. And we simplify. So this A times this. Now A, this A has a power of 1. This A has a power of 1. So A times A will be squared. So we have 2A squared for this part. Then this A will multiply 3, which gives 3A. Okay, for this part. So this, they are going to get 2A squared plus 3A. Okay, so now let's look at this part. So this part, negative 2 times 2A will give us this, and this will give us negative 4, and the A. So negative 4A. And negative 2 times 3 will give us negative 6. So this is what is going to give us. Okay. So this is going to be there. We now join them. So this one, so this one gives us this. So that's what we got over here. And this one gives us this. So that's what we got here. Now we need to simplify. Okay. So we only have one square. So we have 2A squared. Now 3A minus A, because they are 4A, AA, so we use this 4 negative. The negative is more than the positive. So you get negative A, which is negative 1A, is the same as negative A, then 6. Okay, so the answer is going to be 2A squared minus A minus 6. Okay, 2A squared minus A minus 6. Okay, so that's now question number 39. So here, the law of indices. So the law of indices says that if the base is the same and they are multiplying, just add the powers. Okay. And if they are dividing, just subtract the top from the bottom. Okay. So using the law of indices, we solve for this one first. Since they are multiplying, we add the powers. So you have 2 to the power 2 plus 7. Okay, so that gives us 2 to the power 9. And that divided by 2 exponent 4. Now the law of indices says that if you dividing, you do subtraction. So you get 2 to the power 9 minus 4. And that gives you 2 to the power 5. Okay, so let's check it over here. So if they are multiplying, the powers add. If they are dividing, the down subtract from the top. So 2 to the power 2 times 2 to the power 7, you add the powers. So you get what is here, which is over here, divided by this. Now if they are dividing, you use this concept. You have A, and the top one is this one. Okay, then minus the power of the bottom one, which is this. So 9 minus 4 is 5. So we get 2 to the power 5, which is this one. Okay, and then our finally. So our 40th questions. It says if P is equal to 7, 11, 13 and Q is equal to 9, 11, 13, find P union Q. So union is just listing the members in both of the sets. And if a number occurs twice or an element occurs twice, you only write it once. Okay. And when you are writing them too, you start from the lowest to the highest. So here 7 comes first. 11 is here. 11 is okay. After 7, you follow by 9. Okay. 11 is here. 11 is here. You write it only once. And 13 is here. 13 is here. You write it only once. So the union becomes 7, 9, 11, and 13. So that makes answer A to be the answer. Okay. So that's it. So you write each of the elements starting from the lowest to the highest and make sure you don't repeat. Even if it occurs here and there, you only write it once. Okay. So that is it for the part 2 of the 2020 Mathematics B.E.C.E solved questions. So we will continue with the part 3, which is the first 3 parts of the session B. Then the 4th video is going to be the question 4 to 6 of the section B. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this video. And if you have any question, I teach most of the programming courses on the site. So if you and also the IT, the information technology, I also teach for the GHS, then 1, 2, 3. Yes, so if you visit the course that I teach, you see chat with an instructor. You can create a full chat account. You can send me a message. If you have a question, you can send to me. I can have a look at it and solve and send it to you, or we chat on full chat and we know the way forward. But I believe my explanation is okay. And if you are watching this video on YouTube, please visit coolchat.com. We have all the these other questions as well, and you can also have the question higher. Because the video, I don't want it to be very voluminous or very lengthy, I've jumped in terms of the explanation. But if you go to the website, you can get more explanation. Now, I advise that when you solve before you look at the solution, so that you know how much you prepare for the final exam. Okay, and when you get it even correct, especially at the objective test, please also view our solution so that you will also get different approach of doing the same thing. Okay. But thank you very much, and please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that anytime you upload a new video, you'll be able to get a notification. And please share the good news with your other friends so that we can all benefit, so that they can all come out with flying colors, which is the motive why Kuchat came in the first place. And also, of course, there are other past questions, but this is also unique because we solve the objective questions. We don't just say A, but we have to give you the reason why it is A, so that you can also learn as well. So whenever the question is being changed in a different way, you'll be able to at least be able to solve it. Okay, but thank you very much and have a lovely day. Bye.